Hi there, and welcome to the CLM, and what you're about to uncover is truly jaw-dropping. Just moments before Wendy Williams' life took a shocking and unexpected turn, she made a remark about Diddy that would send shockwaves through the entertainment industry. This wasn't a clickbait TMZ scoop or some trending TikTok soundbite. No. This came from a rediscovered interview, one that's now being revisited with new eyes and a chilling sense of realization. We're talking about a time when hip-hop and radio were raw and unfiltered. Wendy Williams, then a fearless radio host, gained a reputation for saying what others wouldn't dare. But her decision to dig into Diddy's past, his alleged secrets, and his influence over the music industry didn't just stir gossip. What followed felt disturbingly sinister. There's a clip from that era where a fellow radio veteran warns, "There used to be this host Wendy. She got burned for speaking the truth." And that's exactly what seemed to happen. What came next didn't feel like typical tabloid mess. It wasn't petty celebrity drama. It was eerie, unsettling, almost like something out of a psychological thriller. In the years leading up to her disappearance, Wendy's on-air behavior began to change dramatically. Something felt off. She'd slur her words, lose her train of thought mid-sentence, and seem disoriented on live TV. Viewers initially chalked it up to exhaustion, stress, or even a possible relapse. But for those behind-the-scenes producers, crew members, there were disturbing patterns they couldn't ignore. Then came the infamous Statue of Liberty incident. During a Halloween taping of her show, Wendy collapsed live on air, dressed in full costume. The official story was heat exhaustion, but fans weren't buying it. The moment was replayed across every major network, yet few asked deeper questions. It was just the beginning of a rapid, shocking downward spiral. Longtime viewers remembered that Wendy and Diddy had beef going way back to the 90s. She wasn't just another celebrity gossip queen. She was bold, brash, and unapologetic, calling out alleged shady deals at Uptown Records and mocking Diddy with zero hesitation. While others in the industry bowed to his power, Wendy dared to confront it. She claimed he was hiding something dark. When asked if she lost her job at Hot 97 for making fun of him, she didn't deny it. She had to sue for wrongful termination, and though she won, that moment marked a turning point. Then, in 2021, Wendy vanished. No formal farewell, no final episode. One day she was on the air, and the next gone. Official statements from her team were vague and contradictory. She'll be back. But she never returned. By early 2022, things got even darker. Wells Fargo froze her bank accounts, claiming she was being financially exploited. Wendy was outraged. She said, "I started asking questions about my own money, and suddenly no one had any answers." A name, Lori Schiller, kept popping up, someone she accused of betraying her trust. Suddenly, a court-appointed guardian was in control of her life. Wendy lost access to her finances, her independence, and eventually, her voice. Each time she tried to speak publicly about her situation, her interviews were cut short or mysteriously pulled. Media appearances disappeared without explanation. The public was left in the dark, wondering what had happened to the once vibrant woman who dominated daytime TV. It wasn't until 2023, when a documentary crew began digging, that the horrifying truth started to come to light. Wendy hadn't been resting or recovering. She had been isolated, completely cut off. Friends couldn't reach her. Family members, including her own son Kevin Jr., were reportedly barred from seeing her. "I don't think the Guardian is protecting my mom," Kevin said publicly. And the people suddenly controlling her life? They weren't longtime friends or trusted confidants. Many were industry strangers, handlers, not helpers. Some even had direct ties to the same figures Wendy had spent years calling out, including, once again, Diddy. Wendy had a long history of putting him on blast. She accused him of exploiting artists, and she hinted at secret relationships with male celebrities, allegations most people wouldn't even whisper. Each time she spoke out, consequences followed. Fired. Blackballed. Silenced. In 2003, she questioned the tragic death of Kim Porter, Diddy's former partner, and her comments raised eyebrows. Soon after, a rival radio station accused her of spreading lies and tried to ruin her credibility. The attacks weren't random, they were calculated. But Wendy never backed down. That's who she was, a relentless truth-teller. By the 2010s, Diddy's image was undergoing a makeover. Meanwhile, Wendy's star was still rising. Her talk show was a hit, her reach massive. But then, she went silent. No more mentions of Diddy until 2020. That's when she started dropping his name again. And that's also when things began to unravel. When Wendy brought Diddy's name back into the conversation in 2020, it wasn't anything explosive. Just subtle jabs, quiet reminders of who he used to be. But for some reason, that was enough. Enough to shift the energy. Enough to rattle certain powers that be. And shortly after that, Wendy's health began to deteriorate rapidly. Her speech faltered. Her public appearances became rare and erratic. And her once bright presence seemed to dim overnight. Then came the devastating documentary Where is Wendy Williams? In 2024, audiences were stunned. This wasn't the lively, quick-witted woman they remembered. Wendy appeared fragile, confused, and completely lost. Her voice trembled, her gaze was vacant, and the sparkle that once defined her was gone. In the documentary, Wendy revealed she had no control over her medical decisions, her living situation, or even her finances. She shared that, sometimes, she went without food for hours. One friend recounted a story about Wendy ordering breakfast at 7:30 a.m. through her guardian, only for the food to show up hours later, if at all. The guardianship controlling her life insisted she had dementia. But no medical records were ever released, no official diagnosis provided. Everything about her condition was kept secret, locked away from the public, and even from her family. It felt eerily similar to Britney Spears' conservatorship, only with even fewer answers and less transparency. The eerie silence from those in charge, lawyers, doctors, and estate managers, only fueled suspicion. Wendy had spent her career pulling back the curtain on Hollywood's dirtiest secrets. Now, it seemed someone had pulled the curtain down on her, hiding her from the world completely. Online fans were connecting the dots. They recalled every feud, every time Wendy had crossed Diddy. From exposing alleged affairs to questioning suspicious deaths, Wendy never held back. And now, as her life crumbled in public view, Diddy's name kept circling back into the narrative. It wasn't just speculation, either. Former members of Diddy's reality TV projects started speaking out too. Dawn Richard, from Danity Kane and Making the Band, testified during a lawsuit involving Diddy. What she said sent chills through everyone listening. When Diddy didn't get his way, people went missing. When pressed on what that meant, people could die. That statement took on horrifying significance when revisiting Wendy's story. She had thrown shade at Diddy just before everything in her life unraveled. The collapse, the disappearance, the guardianship, the silence. Was it all a coincidence? Or had she gotten too close to something powerful and dangerous? The theory that Wendy was poisoned began making rounds online. As outlandish as it might sound, it echoed through message boards and forums with disturbing frequency. The timeline was compelling. Her health plummeted after she started speaking up again in 2020. Her cognitive functions seemed to vanish overnight. She was removed from her platform, her finances seized, and her ability to speak censored. Her life looked like it had been systematically dismantled. Meanwhile, Diddy continued to maintain his pristine public image until lawsuits and testimonies started mounting. Wendy wasn't the only one raising red flags about him. She was just one of the first. And yet, while other celebrities came forward later, Wendy had already paid the ultimate price. Not with her life, but with her freedom, her autonomy, her legacy, her very identity. The most heartbreaking part? She tried to speak out. She attempted interviews, reached out to media outlets, and tried to regain her voice. But every time, something stopped her. Interviews cut short. Audio lost. Footage mysteriously pulled. The message was clear: stay quiet. Or else. You could see it in her eyes, the frustration, the fear, the knowledge that she was being silenced. And while some people dismissed it all as health issues or burnout, true fans knew better. They remembered the Wendy who wasn't afraid of anyone. The Wendy who had warned us for decades. The Wendy who never blinked when naming names. And they remembered the one man she never let off the hook. Diddy. Her downfall, in many ways, always seemed to lead back to him. Even when she didn't spell it out in capital letters, the implications were there. She may never have written a tell-all, but her years of fearless reporting told a story that didn't need further explanation. One filled with risk, resistance, and retaliation. Wendy didn't disappear because she got tired. She didn't collapse because of heat exhaustion. And she certainly didn't voluntarily give up everything she'd built over decades. No Wendy Williams was silenced. Methodically, ruthlessly, and very possibly by forces far greater than any of us realize. And the internet isn't letting it go. Fans, journalists, and truth seekers are digging deeper. Rewatching old footage, replaying old interviews, and hunting for the clue that finally breaks this story wide open. Because the question remains, and it gets louder every day: what did Wendy Williams say about Diddy that got her shut down? It wasn't nothing. It was enough to shake an empire. Enough to send a warning to others. Enough to prove that in Hollywood, speaking the truth can be the most dangerous act of all. So next time someone shrugs and says Wendy just had health issues, don't look away. Look closer. Look them straight in the eye and say, or maybe she got too close to the truth.